Hi, we find ourselves again in Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I urge you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. Our God word, our theological vocabulary term, is service of worship. I guess I have to say a term because I used three words there, service of worship, and we will find that this term is translated sometimes just service and sometimes just worship. The editors and translators of the New American Standard Bible, which is the translation that I've been using, decided to put both words in it to try to help us understand the meaning of this word. Service of worship. It is your reasonable service, it is your reasonable worship, or your spiritual, as we looked at previously. Reasonable service, reasonable worship. What does that mean? The term itself, the way it is used in Scripture, means service to God. So it is what we do for God. And again, we have to put this in the context of recognizing that we can't do anything to earn anything from God. One of the things I think that we want to be able to do is take some kind of credit for our fellowship with God. And Scripture is very clear that that we are dead in our trespasses and sin, that we are born separated from God. We use the word original sin to talk about that. It's not a term from Scripture, but we say original because it's what's in us from the moment of conception, we believe. When David confessed in Psalm 51, "In sin did my mother conceive me," I have been sinful from the moment of conception, would be another way to say that. That it is the result of our brokenness. It is the result of Adam and Eve's sin. And that when they rebelled against God, that then has been passed down to every human ever since. And that we suffer that condition. And that in order to escape that condition, which will result in eternal separation from God, God comes to us. God is compassionate. God is merciful. God extends to us the forgiveness of sins because of what Jesus did for us on the cross. God then transforms us. We saw in Romans chapter 6 that we are a new creation. Our old self, that sinful, original sinful self, is put to death as we pass through the waters of baptism. And we are made a new person. And so here, as Paul turns in his letter to the practical application of the gospel in our lives, he's encouraging us, based on the fact that God is compassion, to offer ourselves living, holy sacrifices, and that this is, again in the New American Standard, spiritual, but the sense of the word there are logical, are reasonable, and then this word, worship. It's not what we do in the sanctuary on Sunday morning. That's a part of it. But the idea here is broader than that. That it is what we offer God as a result of what He has done for us. And that our living out in this holy sacrifice, living in holy sacrifice, is indeed how we give ourselves back to God. not to earn anything from him, but because that is the nature of the recreated being. That is the desire of the new nature. And so Paul then is suggesting to us, urging us really, because of what God has done for us, that we serve him. And that this then is how we worship him. That our worship is really our service for him. And that's the sense of this word. Sometimes translated service, sometimes translated simply worship. In the New American Standard, put together to help us more broadly understand it. Our service of worship. That we glorify God. That we honor God. That we declare God's goodness by serving him. And this is done as we offer our bodies as living and holy sacrifices. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. God bless you.